As the protests by the Gen Zs continue to gather and continue to intensify, the government of Mr. Ruto, or the president, seems to be running out of ideas of how to combat the protests, after also failing to address some of the issues, having addressed partially some of the issues that the protesters raised. Welcome to the Bold Analysis. My name is Frank. You know, today we were treated to a rare stunt which is only shameful to a country like with a developed democracy like Kenya, where a senior veteran journalist, Macharia Gaitho, was abducted inside a police station. Yes, you heard it right. Abduction happened inside a police station. Then you remain asking yourself, where is safe? In Kiswahili, wapi kuzuri? The abduction of Macharia Gaitho, together with the yesterday shooting incident where a journalist working for MediaMax was shot at least more than 2 times during her work exercise while covering the protests, really ideally drives us far away from a country that we can call a country with freedom, with a freedom of speech and freedom of the press. You know, in our Constitution 2010, under the Bill of Rights, the press are among some of the entities that are entitled to special rights and privileges in as much as the right to information, freedom of speech and expression is concerned. But that hasn't been the instance. And now the war seems to be turning to be a war against the state versus the media. Because whenever the police employ brutality, that is, some officers use brutal acts in combating the protesters, it's the media that covers this. So this back and forth fight between the police and the media, truly we can now know its origin. Let's have a look at this video of Macharia Gaitho being abducted. Now, instead, the police went ahead, that is the Directorate of Criminal Investigations together with the National Police Service and made a statement that the abduction, the arrest, with them they called it an arrest, but it was a clear case of an abduction, because I believe this is a law-abiding citizen and a responsible citizen, a respected member of the society. There is no way that he could resist an arrest or a warrant of him requiring him to surrender himself in any nearest police station. It was up to until when he noted, while being driven in the company of his son, that there was a Subaru vehicle that was trailing him. And after realizing that he was being trailed, they drove quickly to the nearest police station. So there is no way the claim of having a mistaken identity could have taken a center stage. You know, some days back he wrote this article that's appearing on your screens on his opinion regarding the revolt that is being pushed by the Gen Zs. And I think that could be the main primary reason as to why the police was looking for him. Look at a picture by picture comparison of these two faces. One is Francis, the other blogger, and Francis Gaitho, right? And Macharia Gaitho. These are two different people. And even in a statement that Gaitho made afterwards, he said that, no, there is no way that I can look at this person. And now today we've seen journalists going to the streets also protesting against brutality. And they've promised that in the next 7 days they will stage even a much bigger one. But you know, the use of police abductions will ideally be the cause of the next preceding demonstrations in this country. If at all we allow this to go on, then where does it even put the security of our country? Because now criminals will be taking advantage of using vehicles similar to the ones that are used by these police units in abducting people. And people will just be saying that, you know what, we can't combat them. We can't raise an alarm because they are probably members of the police, and in particular the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, because today's event implicated them. Today's event rather didn't implicate them, but found that they were the ones that are behind these forced illegal abductions on our streets. You know, one thing that even worried me, you know, even as the government continues to use these backdated methods and ways, the Gen Zs are still staying on put. They're saying that now on Thursday, it is even going to be bigger than the ones that they've held, because they're saying that they want their number to reach at least 5 million. They first converge at Uhuru Park, then have a march towards State House. Then, if at all we will continue to use this level of police brutality, then I don't want to try to imagine the kind of scenes that we are likely to witness from that march or protest on that very fateful Thursday. And you know, in the event that also we continue to use these police abductions, what state, at what level or at what risk does it leave the level of our security in this country? Because now we will see public resort to formation of vigilante groups, you know, for their own self-defense, and they'll try to do it per the best of their knowledge. And when this happens, then now it will mean that these vigilante groups are likely to rather clash with other citizens who are maybe possibly peacefully demonstrating. And these are the things that are likely to be catalytics for a civil strife in this country. So we really need to be careful on this. The police need to be careful on this, because according to reports that we've obtained, I've seen the same has been shared by Chris Sambu. Chris Sambu is a journalist who focuses on military and security comms, and together with intelligence research. He's written something here, that there is an active special crimes unit established under DCI. The unit operates under 4 sub-units, namely Alpha, Rhino, Caesaran, and Bravo. The 4+ units are backed up by a long existing police undercover unit, namely SPIF. Each unit has an identity, including their cars for their different operations. The cars used by the units include traditional infamous Subaru, Volkswagen, double cabin pickups, all Land Cruisers, and popular Probox cars. These units carry out abductions, paraded as arrests, like how Mashara Gaido was taken away today. Officers under these units operate on direct orders of senior police command. Therefore, their decisions cannot be questioned by junior officers in the rank of even an OCS. And that is why probably we saw that abduction inside a police station with an OCS in charge of that station, and they didn't utter or even say a word. Primarily, in the matter of police command, junior officers cannot forcefully arrest a person within a police station which is under the command of an OCS, just have said, and take them away from the station without the orders of the officer commanding the particular police station. As visible in Mashara Gaido's arrest and or rather abduction and similar other cases, the officers deployed under the Special Crimes Unit operate with impunity on orders from above, even sometimes even from boss within the level of a directorate, for example, the DCI boss. Primarily in the matter of police command, junior officers cannot forcefully arrest a person. Yes, we've said that. While reforms in the police envisioned a change from it being a force to a service, the institution of National Police Service struggles to live into that, as a poor command structure and total implementation of the Police Act continue to derail and stagnate its operations. So that is the level of unfortunity that we are witnessing our country in. You know, we've said it, that we've even seen, that officers yesterday went and snooped so low, they went to a level of snatching even phones from the demonstrators. I've seen today some hashtag run on Twitter on missing mobile phones. But I suspect that hashtag to be a sponsored kind of, because under the hashtag, the comments or the posts there or the tweets there were that keep your phones away at home when going for demonstrations because phones are being snatched. I think it's a scheme because they've realized that these Gen Zs are using these phones to communicate, to coordinate, and maybe to highlight instances and record instances where these abductions take place on the street or use of brutal force by these officers. So they might likely be able to sponsor that in order to enable them operate under darkness that is not in the eyes of the social media or the media rather in this case. So I've even seen the government or the operatives sinking too low to sponsoring public opinions and polls to have the president reappoint some of the dismissed cabinet secretaries back to the cabinet. That poll was majorly run by one major media station in this country that shared that news widely. I think they are currently being attacked on X, something like that. That was Capital FM. Yeah, I saw something like that, yes. So the president, or even the government rather, they need to wake up to the reality that first and foremost, these protests are peaceful protests. And the role of the police is to protect the protesters and ensure that there are no cases of lawlessness and that the protesters don't rather disturb the businesses of others or the free movement of other Kenyan citizens of goodwill of this country. And in line with that, they also, and even the president in particular, has to wake up to the reality that no one is sponsoring the protests. The protests more like seem to be very much organic, because if there would be a case of sponsorship, then up to now we could not be saying that they are tribeless, partyless, leaderless, you know, all those forms of less that they add to their activities. So the other thing, the idea of forming a government of national unity is like a dead idea on arrival. That will bring discontent and discord among these protesters. You know, in the end, if the president acts in the manner in which they are requesting or they are demanding for the president to act in, then I'm quite sure that this protest will not go on. Maybe they'll say that maybe it's now time for us to go register as voters and wait for him at the ballot come 2027. That is if at all he addresses all these issues. And if he doesn't address this and instead retorts to means like forming the Grand National Unity Government. I've even seen Eugene Wamalwa. Here's a speech of Eugene Wamalwa. Yes, he has spoken that the party position, his party position is so clear on this, that they are not going to endorse the Grand National Unity Government that the president so purports to want to consult and dialogue over. Yes, so, you know, the other thing that would be wise would be for the president to condemn the police brutality and arrest killer cops, and at least compensate the victims and families of the affected people by the police brutality that we've witnessed in this country. Of course, there are other measures under this, such as taking significant budget cuts for various state departments and revoke unconstitutional appointments, like the appointments based on tribal affiliations, you know, and all those other non-existent and constitutional offices that these demonstrators are requesting to be done away with. You know, they've been requesting for the dismission of the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, saying that it's unconstitutional. You remember when this idea of the Prime Cabinet Secretary came, it was domiciled under the National Treasury, then it moved slowly. Now it has a full entire office at the railway headquarters, yes, in Nairobi. And while at the same time the minister occupying this has another office at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think next to Harambee House, the Foreign Affairs Department. So this is like a game that the president needs to recognize that this is like a game, the protest. So he needs to beat the Gen Zs in this game, not beat them in the sense of using violence, but beat them by ideologies and taking a radical transformative change or shift in the way and manner in which he runs this very government. In as much as we recognize that the president might not resign on this, you know, not unless the pressure might continue to go higher beyond the pressure levels that maybe are there currently, or the heat might continue to rise. But he has to realize that even if he might not resign, but in the end, or might address some of these issues, or the Gen Zs might come down, but he will have a problem going forward, running kind of an unstable country that any day people can just wake up and say that, you know, we are going to the streets, we are going to paralyze activities. Because I saw yesterday that even the protests have shifted to a trend that now people are going to the government offices, such as offices of the governors, to demand for accountability. So these are issues that need proper address, you know, not just flip-flopping. Then that attaches it to the idea that it needs to stop the idea of talking this today and tomorrow seeming to be talking another issue. Like today he would promise that, you know, we are talking with the Gen Zs and so on, etc. But when tomorrow he goes on stage, starts accusing others of having sponsored these demonstrations that are being done by the citizens. So I think to reduce the political tensions or heat that we are experiencing in this country, those are some of the steps that are likely, that in the event that they are taking, will likely salvage this country from the unrest and political temperatures that we are witnessing in this country. Thank you for watching. That marks the end of our analysis.